Well, as we begin this new decade of 2020, the second decade of the millennium, in your work, how has life of young, underprivileged black girls changed over the decades since the 1950s?
Well, I would love to say that everything has changed. But uh, I think we're having the same thing that we had years ago. Uh, I am seeing now when I went to the board and when I got those jobs and I got the promotion, I can remember when I got my first promotion, one of the black teachers came up to me down at the board and said, with your natural hair, they don't have them with natural hair here. So I think you need to change. And I said, well, I don't think so. And the interesting thing that happened, I became her boss. So I mean,
I'm sure that went over well.
she never said anything, nor did I, but I know she never forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
But always it was having difficulty in terms of racism is still alive and well. And what we are seeing now, we are wondering what in the world is going on in the White House. But it is that whites at this point in life, whether it's in the United States or whether it is in Europe, they are losing, no longer going to be in charge, and that they are losing the white supremacy.
Is that
And
what's happening?
and it's still that way now. I just got from my uh, from counseling and development. And one of the articles now is why are students of color in the graduate school having so much difficulty in getting their degrees?
Well, I'll ask that question to you. Why do you think that's the case?
Um, because I think always, and this is what I try to do, and really, it's not a long list. We have to learn about the mystery to our history, and as long as we don't know the mystery to our history, we will let someone else tell us the story. And I would like to say that a friend of mine, Dr. Asa Hilliard, if I can,
Yes, you may.
our concern with the connection to our African past is really future oriented. It is not merely for sentimental or aesthetic reasons that we return. While it is true that no one can or should live in the past, it is equally true that all futures are created out of the past.
Hmm.
And that was Asa Hilliard, and he was another one who affected me, and I truly believe that.
Wow.
And the truth will set you free.
Absolutely. That's what I've been told. Well, we know that you have had a long, distinguished career, well over 50 years of being an educator, an author, and a philanthropist. Can you tell me about the period of your life and when did you decide to retire as an educator? I don't think you really retired because you're still doing wonderful things in the community, even at 92 young. But when did you actually leave the school system?
In 1989, things were changing. They were changing the administrators and all. And I knew that when we were all working and we had a lot of blacks who were in high positions, we were really running a school system. And folks said, these children are getting educated. And so one of the men brought me in. They said, Joyce, you know things are getting ready to change. If you don't take another sick day, because I never took my sick days, he said, don't use them. You can retire and you will come with the same amount of money that if you were working.
Wow, who wouldn't take that off?
And so I decided, and then I went and told my folks, it's getting ready to change. No, they said, we're going to wait. And sure enough, after I left, they changed the whole system. But then I could then do exactly more what I wanted to do than before.
Okay.
And then that's when I was retired from being in the school system. But because I started working with the Mental Health Association, uh, I went and worked at the school for pregnant girls. And that's when I decided always that I wanted to work with girls,
Okay.
and especially girls, pregnant girls.
Okay.
And we went to Tesla, and we had a program for pregnant girls, and teachers and principals, about 8 or 9 or 10, we went there and we started mentoring pregnant girls.
Wow.
And then they opened up 3 schools for pregnant girls. And now they only have 1 school for pregnant girls. And it's still a problem.
It is.
And if it's going to be solved, we have to do it ourselves.
Yes, I agree. And that's why we're here today. As an adult, you have been a member of numerous interest and service groups. Tell us about some of the ones that have had the greatest impact.
Well, let me say the ones that I am in now that are really impactful. The National Council of Negro Women. That means that we are directly in a relationship with the women in South Africa, and we have a program where we are working with them in South Africa and they are working with us here in Chicago, and we are working together. And Mandela with the men's group, and then the women's group was formed so that they had the men working with it and Mandela, and we have the National Council of Negro Women. Now, the other thing that I'm working with especially, and that's with my Takia Scholarship Program.
Yes.
It's been going on since 1982. I met 2 young men at my church. They were called Sons of Thunder.
Brothers of Thunder.
Brothers of Thunder.
Yes.
And
yes.
they came, I was so impressed with them, and I saw them, and I said, well, how are things going? You know, what can I do? They said, you know, we need a little pocket change. And I said, well, you know, I can kind of give you some pocket change, and then you have someone that you could call and they listen to them. And sure enough, they were my first scholarship, Takia Scholarship. That's what I named it. And one is a PhD, MD, and the other is a minister.
Yes.
And since 19 and what I said, we have been having Takia Scholars.
You have provided means for young black men and young black women to continue their education. Well over 450 young people you've helped?
I would say I give them like $4,000, $1,000 for each year.
So how many would you say you've helped in numbers? I know you say you don't keep your records when you and I have
really
talked
don't keep
before.
my records, but I know from going through, it's over $100,000.
Wow. God
And
bless.
that's tithing.
God bless.
I tithe.
God bless.
My tithe money helps young black people go to college.
Wonderful.
And I always have 8, but right now, the highest one time I had 13.
Okay. Okay. Well, you have helped so many young people to be able to pursue their dreams.